Welcome to RISE 101, an overview of reinforced instruction for student excellence. I'm Susan Barbetta, the Executive Director for the North Carolina Student Success Center. If you have not already joined the RISE listserv, please do. The URL is listed here. We send emails out every Friday and it keeps you up to date on what's happening. So let's talk a little bit about RISE. Here we see a logo, thank you, designed by Dr. Bill Carver at Nash Community College. With RISE, what we talk about is sometimes needing a new perspective. We've had a lot of great work take place with developmental education, and we know there's a lot of good content there. Sometimes we just need to step back and view it a little bit differently. And so for fun, we have here a logo for the African Children Initiative, and we see the continent of Africa in the middle in the white. And then look closely and tell me if you can see the child and the mother. And here again, perspective. Some of us see it as 4, some of us see it as 3. Both are right. It's just depending on how you view it and what your perspective is. So I ask you again to look at RISE, and is it RISE or is it ROSE? It depends how you look at it. So let's talk a little bit about the problem, or the challenges, I should say, associated with remediation as we currently are offering it in North Carolina, as many states are, as prerequisite remediation. For 10 students that have begun in prerequisite remediation, needing 3 or more semesters of remediation, we can see that just after the first semester, there's only 5 students left. 2 students didn't complete, and 3 students either stopped enrolling or did not enroll further at all. After the second semester, there's only 2.5 students left, again with the remaining students either not completing or not enrolling. And if we look all the way down to the bottom at the Gateway course, for those 10 students that started, only 1 has enrolled and completed their Gateway course. So we see that more students quit than fail, but still only 10% on average will pass that Gateway course. So lots of room for improvement. If we look nationally at 4 states and their data, we can see that when the state was under prerequisite remediation, which is what our developmental education structure is, their success rates range from 20%, 12% all the way to 29%. And then we fast forward to co-requisite remediation. Now these states rolled out over a period of about 3 years, in some cases 5, but we see that co-requisite remediation has extremely higher success rates. And these are the percentages for students that have passed a Gateway level math within 2 years of enrolling at the college. Similarly for English, we can see that the statistics are just phenomenal about the percent of success rates for students completing a Gateway level English within 2 years of enrolling, and the drastic changes that have occurred between prerequisite remediation and co-requisite remediation. Now, in complete transparency, North Carolina has already addressed some of the concerns via our multiple measures, so although we'll see gains, we're not expecting as drastic of gains as these states have seen. So let's look a little more closely at North Carolina data. It's in large part about gatekeeper momentum. National research indicates if we can get students to successfully complete their Gateway level math and Gateway level English during their first year, they're much more likely to complete, and complete whether it's a certificate, a diploma, or an associate's degree. Back in 2008, we can see that we had about 17% of our students, or 52,000, even attempting a college level math course. And these are all students, not just first time. And as improvements were being made, multiple measures was introduced, the new placement test, NCDAP, was introduced. Developmental education went from semester-long courses to modules. We can see that we have been able to successfully get more students to attempt a college level math. But even in the 2017-2018 year, we're only up to about 25% of students ever attempting a college level math. The statistics are a bit sobering, very sobering. If you're an African American, you have a 7% chance of ever passing a Gateway level math course within 2 years of enrollment. If you're a Latino, that percentage is 10%. And if you're Caucasian or Asian, you have a 14% chance of ever passing a gateway level math course within 2 years of enrollment. So the new model for for developmental education, or RISE, shows that in the beginning, the way the courses are currently scheduled now, students go through developmental education courses and then into college level courses in a very sequential manner. When we move to RISE, or our co-requisite remediation, in most instances students will skip the developmental education course, enrolling directly in a college level course with co-requisite support. The NC DAP, the current placement test, is no longer valid after December 31st, 2019. No additional units may be purchased after June 30th, 2019. And so you may be wondering what replaces NC DAP, and that's the RISE Math and English Placement Test. The math test actually consists of 3 components, Test 1, 2, and 3. When a student takes Test 1 or Tier 1, they must successfully score at least a 75 before they are allowed to sit and take the placement test for Test 2, and then similarly for Test 3. You can see here that the English is only divided into 2 tiers or 2 tests, with 75 being the cut score there as well. So a quick picture overview of what the new RISE placement criteria is. This replaces the existing multiple measures. It's not in addition to. A student entering with an unweighted high school GPA of 2.8 or higher can enroll in any Gateway Math or English without a co-requisite. Students in that middle range, 2.2 to 2.799, are permitted to enroll in a Gateway Math or English with a co-requisite. If a student meets the ACT benchmarks, then they are of course exempt from the co-requisite. And those students coming in with an unweighted high school GPA below 2.2 will in most cases will be required to enroll in transition math and or English course. The exception is if a student's ACT score is within 2 points of the national benchmark, then the Gateway course can be registered for with a co-requisite. Now the transition math and English course can be offered at your college through Basic Skills, CCR, or through your curriculum side of the house. And some points to consider when you're deciding where to offer the course can be seen in this chart here. In curriculum, it's a 3-credit, 6 contact hour cost. The student does pay for the course. It does count towards full-time financial aid status. And CCP students have the option to register for this course if they want to, and it typically runs for an entire semester. If your institution chooses to offer the transition courses in Basic Skills or CCR, it's an 8 contact hour course. Of course, there's no charge to the student. It does not count towards financial aid full-time status. CCP students are not eligible to enroll in a transition course if it's offered through Basic Skills. And because Basic Skills is not set in stone to 16 weeks, students may exit early. This shows our 2019 spring pilots and where they have decided to offer the transition courses. You can see that most are offering it in the curriculum side of the house, with a couple of our colleges offering it in both places. Sandhills and Southwestern, they are using GPA as a determinant of when the student enrolls in the course in Basic Skills and when they enroll in curriculum. The English transition course consists of 2 tiers. If the student completes the first 6 units, they're permitted to enroll in English 111 with a co-requisite, and if the student completes all 10 units, then they can enroll in English 111 without a co-requisite. The math transition course is a little more complicated. It has 3 tiers, and you can see here that completing Unit 8 allows the student to register for Math 110, our technical math, without a co-requisite, and then 143 or 152 with a co-requisite. If the student can complete all the way through Unit 12, as indicated in the pink, then the student can register for 143 or 152 without a co-requisite, and this is the first time that the student can register for 121 or 171 with a co-requisite. It is not until the student completes Unit 17, as indicated by the gold, that they can register for 121 or 171 without a co-requisite. Placement criteria. If you're wondering perhaps what the stack screen and colleague looks like, if we look at the stack screen for students coming in with a GPA of 2.8 or higher, we will see that the student is awarded non-course credit for the two transition courses, MAT 003 and ENG 002. They're also awarded credit for all of the co-requisites, Math 010, 021, 043, 052, 071, and English 011. Students that come in that middle GPA range 22 to 2799, these students are only awarded non-course credit for the transition math and the transition English course. And if that student enters with a GPA below 2.2, we would not see anything in stack screen for the courses. It's important to note that if this course is offered in basic skills, it has the code BSP 4002 for the English and BSP 4003 for the math. So our placement criteria, priority is given to unweighted high school GPA. If a student has mastery level on the GED, which is 170 on all components, the HiSET, which is 15 on all components, and at least a 4 on the essay. If the student already has an associate's or bachelor's degree, regardless of the subject matter that it's in, meets the criteria for national benchmarks on ACT or SAT. We also include AP, IB, and in some areas the Cambridge scores. Just like now, a student that has transfer credit is eligible to be placed. Career and college ready graduates, which is the remediation in the high school program, can place students directly into gateway courses. So the big question is, when does the student take the RISE placement test? And that's if the student's been out of school more than 10 years, does not have a valid high school GPA. So sort of a crosswalk or a rough approximation, we can see that the existing DRE 97 on the English 002 P1, meaning past Tier 1, that the content in English 002 P1 is more than the student would get in DRE 97. Similarly, English 002, the second tier, or P2, that's beyond the competencies that a student would learn in DRE 98. So if you have currently prerequisites of DRE 98, the suggestion is that you change them to English 002 P1, and that has been done at the state level for all of the state level prerequisites. Here we see that roughly DMA 10 through 30 is the first tier of the transition course. DMA 10 through 50 approximates to the second tier, and it's DMA 10 through 80 would indicate the student had completed all the way through Unit 17. The one item I want to point out on here is where we see Set 5. This is new. MAT 003 is the math transition course, and here we see that we're specifically stating a rule. This rule R-Min P2M is a new rule. It indicates that the student has received credit for the second tier of the MEMAT 003 course. So potential options for how to offer the co-requisite class are before, option 1, before the, after the gateway course. Option 2 is having a gateway course taught twice and then the co-req course. Option 3 has the co-req course before the gateway course, and option 4 alternates Monday, Wednesday, Friday for the gateway course, Tuesday, Thursday for the co-req. These are just some suggestions. What's not part of the traditional co-req model is having students from different faculty members in the same co-requisite course. So considerations for scheduling the co-requisite course to avoid having to run sections with 2 or 3 students is if you have multiple instructors teaching the same course, try and limit that so that you only have 1 or 2 instructors teaching any particular course. Remember that if every course does not need to have a co-requisite associated with it. So if I have 15 sections of statistics, I don't need to have 15 co-requisite courses. Online co-reqs are an option, not ideal, but of course to address scheduling challenges, we know that might be a possibility. Here we see the contact hours and credits associated with our co-req courses. You'll notice that they range from just 1 credit and 2 contact hours all the way up to 2 credits and 4 contact hours. We're suggesting most of these be seated contact hours, but they don't necessarily all need to be seated contact hours. A quick pictorial representation of our state and where our spring and fall pilots are located. And please remember for veterans that these courses are approved for our veterans, but they must be delivered completely face-to-face, not online and not hybrid. Here's the support structure that we have in place for you. You can see the RISE core team in purple. We have guided pathways coaches corresponding with everything happening with RISE. So you have a RISE coordinator for your geographic area of the state, plethora of documents in the Google Drive, RISE 101, which is the course you're watching right now, weekly listserv that comes out every Friday, fourth Friday of every month. We also have conference calls, there's monthly webinars, and face-to-face professional development. We also have access to an NROC specialist, one for math, one for English, and subject matter experts in the 5 areas that you see indicated there. Our RISE evaluation, as indicated in pink, consists of those 5 blocks below, and that's being conducted by the Belk Center for Community College Leadership and Research. And so here we have the multiple measures of RISE. Thank you very much.